It's FOMC day, and as we await the Shadow Lizard Council's deliberation as to what the fate of risk-on assets will be, the big focus is, of course, on Dixie, and then how that will relate to Bitcoin. As I struggle with my words in the early morning hours, probably need a little bit of a nappy today. Anyways, other than that, I want to make this one nice and short and sweet, so I'm just going to jump right on over here into the charts. Should probably welcome you back to the Krown Crypto channel as well, but you probably already knew that you were here because you're here. Anyways, in this case, weekly time frame for Dixie, we observed the breakdown coming off of the multi-month, actually about 6-month long consolidation in this region right here, thus be getting that continuation off of the break that we saw 2 weeks ago now, with last week's being a bounce, and actually this week having a little bit of extension on that bounce as well. But as we said, this bounce very likely to occur. However, in the same case, getting rejected right around this major moving average right here, that would be the 9 exponential moving average, would kind of be the area that you'd be expecting that bounce to get stifled by. And in this case, we do see the LARP lines just about getting that one, and still long-term, the downside implied target based off of this as a descending triangle is still very much valid, and that would be actually significantly further south at about 97.25, somewhere between there and about 98.25, I would say. So I'd still be looking at that as a legitimate area of interest. Obviously not necessarily this week, but over the coming, in the coming month or so. But the big focus today is not necessarily going to be on what the FOMC comes out and does today. It seems very, 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 very likely that they're going to hike another 0.25%. But it's going to be their tone as to what to expect throughout the rest of the year. Is there going to be another hike after that? What is expected to be? So on and so forth. And then we get to play the game of deciphering, the words of Jay Powell, which is not my game. But at the end of the day, as far as technicals go, still looking at the same thing over here, essentially. As long as Dixie is below the breakdown region of 101.25, downside pressure remains. And like I said, this would be a great place for a rejection and continuation in that fashion, in the next month and a half. Looking at the very, very low term timeframes, we can see some hidden bearish divergence starting to be formed between this high over here and this high over here, as 6-hour RSI starting to make, or is already making higher highs within that fashion, getting rejected by the bullish control zone. And if we go back onto the daily, I do believe, getting rejected right at the yellow 21 exponential average. And as you can see, Caretaker's RSI showing some phantom hidden bearish divergence potential as well, which will be confirmed with any sort of a daily closure later today in 16 hours, 32 minutes, and 33 seconds below yesterday's low, which is 101.18.6. So if that does happen, very likely rejection confirmed, and downside pressures once again remain, which theoretically would be good for risk-on assets. Now, risk-on assets that I think it probably would be good for is just generally speaking things in the stock market. For Bitcoin, will that hold true as well? Well, the breakdown that we did see, a few days ago in Bitcoin is still very much valid here. So as long as Bitcoin is below the breakdown point of 29,500 on a daily closing basis, I do look at that as, a legitimate breakdown and probably some downside price action to follow. However, as we'll go over later on in this video, I do think that the downside pressures probably aren't going to be as intense as I think a lot of people are looking for. I think a lot of people are calling out the $27,000 region, maybe even a little bit lower than that as well. However, as we'll go over later, I do think that low 28s, would not be out of the question and would actually be kind of reasonable, although I'd still want to see things firsthand before making a judgment on that. But for right now, we can go over here and we can go check out the HPDR ranges. This is the 4-hour time frame. You can see the 4-hour time frame has been slowly being walked down. Bitcoin has found a little bit of a bouncy bounce on the bottom end of the current 4-hour HPDR range lows, which is at about 29,000 and change, about 29,050 $50 or so on the index. So that would imply that if Bitcoin does start to break below that region, that's at the point where I really would be looking for that next leg down, somewhere around 28,200, maybe even as low as 27,800, somewhere in that pocket right there. Actually just kind of draw a bit of a blue box. And when could that potentially happen? Well, a great time would be off of the back of FOMC meeting later today. Regardless of what the decision is, you very likely will see big volatility, big volatile wicks going both directions. So, best case scenario, what would be nice is obviously just straight up from here for the boo laws, but could be something like this where you do see a quick initial downside move and then a nice bouncy bounce back up. But for right now, where would the 4-hour time frame start to confirm a reversal or essentially a trap within this region right here? Back above 29,850, the average of this current range. If Bitcoin starts to trade back above there, Bitcoin, I would start to look at that as an early indication that the daily is going to pull through and a good indication of a nice short-term trap. So, what sort of a situation could we be witnessing later today that would kind of expedite that? Well, if Jay Powell comes out and says, yeah, we're done hiking. We're going to go pause mode now and just fucking boost everything to the moon and beyond, I guess. Something like that could be possible, I guess. However, probably unlikely. But then again, I'm not a macro guy. I don't try to guess basically what's going on in the minds of these, shadow council people and members. I leave that towards very long Twitter thread creators pontificating on all sorts of very interesting macro analyses, which sound incredibly highly intelligent, but at the end of the day, it's just too many damn question marks. So I'm just going to go with the statistical narrative of what we're looking at right here. And again, to the downside, 29,050 below there on a closing basis. That's where I'd be looking for the next floodgates to be opened. About $1,000 lower, let's say, somewhere around there, and very likely a bounce, potentially even a major low right there as well. By the same token, if Bitcoin does start to trade back above 29,850 on a 4-hour time frame, early indication of a nice trapola going on, or a daily closure back above the breakdown point at 29,005 or 29,550, depending upon your exchange, would do it for me as well. One of the other reasons why I do say, or why I do think that maybe we don't see like a tremendously nasty downside move if there is continuation to the downside is because we're starting to see stochastic momentum across all time frames really get down towards extreme lows. So it will be theoretically difficult to keep momentum this low for a super long time. And at the end of the day, Bitcoin is still within a daily uptrend here, right? I mean, you still got as long as you're above that $25,000 region, it's a higher low. So let's actually throw a Fibonacci retracement on this one just to see where those interesting numbers would be coming in around. And yeah, we do see the 50% retracement coming in around about that low $28,000 number. This is actually on CME, so you can imagine it's a couple $100 below there, as there's a premium obviously, and then you got the 618 somewhere around 27,650 or so. I think that's the one that a lot of people are looking at. Things get really crazy. 786 is at 26,375, and obviously Bitcoin is kind of already basing off the 382 right here. So that would be a very shallow retracement. Obviously, if Bitcoin were to bounce from this region and reclaim one of those critical regions, that'd be actually a very big sign of strength, only retracing down to the 382 on something like this. But for right now, let's actually go through the stochastic momentum signatures. On the daily, Bitcoin stochastic momentum will actually turn up above 29,400. Right now, trading about $150 below that. Again, that's a fucking sneeze coming off of the back of the event that's destined for later today. Looking at the 12-hour time frame. I should clarify though, on the daily, something significant did happen. Actually, I forgot to talk about this the other day when it did happen, although we were talking about it for many days beforehand. This trendline regression coming in from the last few major lows, March, April, May, double in May, by the way, and then June was actually broken. So that is a bit of an indication of a change of behavior. So I would say that, if this one does bounce, it'd still be a bit of a wild card there, to be fair. But for right now, yeah, momentum remains to the downside as long as Bitcoin's below 29.4, which it is actually below as of right now. 12-hour time frame also coming in from the critical regions. $29,000 is going to be the magical number right there. That is again that lower boundary on the 4-hour time frame. So below there, momentum once again turns down. across basically all time frames, and you can see one more wipeout to the downside at minimum. 6-hour time frame would be also coming in from the critical regions, even having a bit of regular bullish divergence now painted in there, as long as Bitcoin's above 29,000 bucks. So that number's coming up a few times now. 4-hour time frame also showing 29,150, so very, very close. So a lot of numbers pivoted around this region. Again, Bitcoin trading a little bit above that right now, but doesn't mean much with the events later today. And hourly's actually nice and positioned up here above 29,150 as well, basically. So all time frames essentially in concert with each other. You can start to see that if Bitcoin basically fails to break below 29,000 bucks, there is going to be a legitimate chance for a nice, nice bear trap here. And I will be phenomenally wrong about looking further south for Bitcoin, tentatively that low $28,000-ish number. So fair enough. If that happens, that'd be obviously welcome for the boo laws. But it's a long day left to go, obviously. Other than that, we're already 10 minutes into this bitch. I do want to make a quick shout out because been having a lot of fun on Twitter recently, because there's like not much fun here. It's like, there's just not much going on. But I reposted one of my girlfriend's tweets, or Elsa's tweets, because she made this review of the Barbie movie on I think she put it on like TikTok or some shit, and some of her friends watched it, and like they were sending these really aggressive messages actually. She actually lost a couple of friends over it, so she was really sad yesterday. And then she posted on Twitter, and then I guess the community found it. Well, I retweeted it, I guess. But there was like a massive outpouring of support, and I just want to say massive thank you, because she was like overwhelmed with joy, and she's just so happy that she doesn't feel that she's crazy. She thought that she was crazy because she's like, why does everyone hate me? Like, probably not everyone hates you. You're just maybe around the wrong people, but all good. Anyways, just want to say massive shout out for that, massive love for that, because it really meant a lot to her, and it was just cool to see. Anyways, I'm gonna be signing off on that note. As always, wish you the best of the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully on a much more eventful Thursday. Take care.